I am so delighted to have Stephen Kohn from Kohn and Colapinto, and also the founder of the National Whistleblower Center today is here with us because he has some exciting news. And whistleblowers are the ones who brought this home. Talk to us, Stephen, about this momentous thing that has happened.
Well, today, the most important international whistleblower bill in history is being signed into law, or has been approved by Congress and will be signed into law, the Anti-Money Laundering and Sanctions Whistleblower Law. This bill has tremendous transnational application because money laundering is at the heart of all corruption. If you take a bribe, you got to hide that you took it. If you're paying a bribe, you got to hide that you're paying it. If you're evading taxes, it's obvious you don't want people to know where your money is. Drug dealers, corrupt people, but for today, it's all about Russian oligarchs and Russian sanctions. Because we know there are massive billions and billions laundered out of Russia. And now whistleblowers have a tool to fight back.
Well, Stephen, I know that we've had a consortium of whistleblowers worldwide that have called in to a congressperson because there appeared to be a little problem with the bill initially. And it appears their efforts have brought it across the line. Can you tell us a little bit about how this bill made it to where it is today and how the whistleblowers were able to do this against an individual who seemed to be hesitant?
Let's put it this way. I've been told by our supporters on Capitol Hill who witnessed everything and were behind us that it is only because of the outpouring of public support for this bill that it passed, period. All of the inside baseball, all of the stuff you do to get something through Congress through normal channels did not work. And we had to put out the call for help, and the help came in by the thousands and thousands. The American people, the whistleblowers, our supporters, spoke and spoke loudly and moved a mountain. I was told specifically that the bill was dead. And only through numerous, thousands and thousands of tweets, and we're told 200,000 people, more than 200,000 people, opened our emails to make phone calls. So when I say dead, this is what I mean dead. We had met with the House Appropriations Committee staffers, the Senate Appropriation Committee staffers, the Senate Banking Committee, the House Financial Services, and the Grassley staff was fighting hard. Our other supporters on the Hill in the House and the Senate were fighting hard. So all the normal channels were exhausted. The lame duck session is here, minutes away from Congress dissolving. We're told it's going to die after 2 years of work. So the National Whistleblower Center, my law firm, Kohn and Colapinto, Whistleblower Network News, united. We called for every one of our supporters to take action, and hundreds of thousands of people responded. We were then told that the offices in question were completely inundated. They heard us, they backed off, and we won. We won. But when I say we won, I want to be perfectly clear here. Only the public support expressed by the whistleblowers and their supporters made this possible. My office could not do it alone. Senator Grassley could not get it to the finish line. The National Whistleblower Center could not get it to the finish line. We called for help. The help came. And the most important international whistleblower law is now happening. And
This is a momentous occasion, Stephen, momentous, because whistleblowers who normally feel helpless have turned out, when they get together, to be a potent and powerful force. And it can be seen in the passage of this bill. And we pulled out some of the biggest names in whistleblower history, and they've written. We've had whistleblowers from all over the world who called in. I mean, it really shows what whistleblowers can do when they get together, and all cados go to you, the law firm, National Whistleblower Center, Whistleblower Network News. What a tremendous triumph this is for whistleblowers and those three organizations. It's just stunning.
So I just want to be very clear on what we won today.
Please.
With an anti-corruption activist in Russia can anonymously and confidentially expose where the money of the oligarchs are. No one will know who they were. The money can be seized, and that whistleblower will get 10 to 30% of the seizure. We know that whistleblowers have come out in Russia and China. I went through and ran a statistical analysis as we're trying to provide the intellectual justifications for the law. And I looked at international whistleblowers from Russia, China, the 5 largest trading partners of Russia, the 5 largest trading partners of Belarus, where the sanctions are being busted. I'm not looking at United States at all, just foreign countries, and the country with the largest amount of oligarchs who've repatriated to those countries. 2,000 international whistleblowers have come forward under Foreign Corrupt Practices, anonymous and confidential. So we knew that once we opened this up to money laundering, which is far bigger, you don't have to be a publicly traded company. You can just be a criminal thug. And that money can be anywhere, can be in a registered US bank or some other bank. It can be underneath your closet. It can be a yacht. It can be a penthouse. It can be a real estate transaction. It opens it up to so many different types of violations among so many people worldwide. So we'd already seen that people in Russia and China and other countries like that were using the bribery law. So to empower them with money laundering is literally pouring gasoline on the fire. We are lighting up the power of whistleblowers worldwide. Obviously, people in the United States are covered, but this has transnational application. Furthermore, when President Biden set up a task force of every major cabinet official in the United States to study on a bipartisan way international corruption and how to fight it, money laundering was identified as one of the biggest weaknesses in our ability to fight corruption. This law directly addresses that. So it's tremendous scope. And I want to say to every single person who called, who wrote, who donated, who stood up, I want to tell you this. Years from now, just look back and see what you have done. The billions that will come in sanctions, the oligarchs and the corrupt people who will be held accountable, the banks that will be held accountable, the deterrent effect. We have seen this in all the other similar whistleblower laws, but none of them have the transnational application of this law. None of them have the ability to hold dictators and thugs like Putin accountable like this law. And you will be able to sit back, and you were part of it, because I want to repeat this. We couldn't do it. All of our efforts got us close to the finish line. We had a nice bill. We had support in the Senate. We had total bipartisan support. None of the enemies of this bill had the guts to go public. It was all behind the scenes.
Yes.
And we made a call and it was answered and we won. I mean, this is the power that we have, and we're going to use this power going forward.
Yes. I'm so excited to hear that, Stephen, because, you know, this is monumental, this bill, but we also have some plans for next year, 2023, don't we? I think we're going to offer stuff to the president, and we're going to get all whistleblowers behind it, and we've got a big surprise in store.
Yeah,
But
so
I'm
we
just
have
delighted.
there are other whistleblower bills that were out there that we've been supporting. None of them made it through this Congress on issues that are very popular, including National Whistleblower Day to change the culture.
Yes.
But this one was the hardest one because why? We had to get it through the Senate Banking Committee. That's where the banks who are going to be held liable under this, that's where all their lobbyists hang out and toss knives in the backs of anyone they can. And the House Financial Services Committee, where the same bank lobbyists live and breathe. We had to get all the Republicans and all the Democrats. And then we had to go to the Appropriations Committee, and they're just looking at cash, cash, cash. And guess what? They have never appropriated a penny to a whistleblower. They can say whatever they want, but neither Appropriations Committee has ever said, we're going to give money to a whistleblower. You know where the whistleblowers get their money from? From the money we seize from the wrongdoers and the criminals the whistleblowers turn in, no taxpayer money. And that was a critical part of this bill. We went to Congress, we said, hold it right there. Our whistleblowers bring in the sanctions. Don't let the rules on appropriation crucify us. You've never given us a penny, and you never will. A whistleblower can't compete with the thousands of special interests and paid lobbyists looking for tax breaks for casinos or money for a bridge. We can't compete.
No.
Just give us a percentage of what we bring in. And we won. And we set precedent.
It's amazing. And I believe you have a story to give an example about how this worked prior without, you know, the awards. Can you tell us about that one
Sure.
client
So,
you had that was billions of dollars?
Yeah, so let me tell you how this whole thing developed. Dodd-Frank was passed in 2010. 10 years later, it's working miraculously. It has brought in billions. It has returned to harmed investors in the SEC program alone, 1.5 billion to victims. Whistleblowers have been paid. So we looked at that law and we're just going to duplicate it for money laundering. This happened in 2000. It was perfect common sense. It went into a committee, the law, that was perfect. And it came out butchered to pieces, where we had to, in December of 2020, oppose it. Whoever those lobbyists were, they pulled out the knives and they just gutted this law in a despicable manner, by the way. I mean, they made it, this is what they said. For a whistleblower to get paid, you have to go to Congress Appropriations Committee and have them pass a special bill.
Oh,
by the way, no one's required to get paid a penny. So I've spoken to the people who run the current program. They said, yeah, there's no money, you'll never get paid. There's nothing there. And that's not only half of it. They had other things in that bill that are terrible. So we came out, we saw that. Everyone else was celebrating. Oh, whistleblower for AML. Oh, AML strengthened. We said, read the fine print. The law won't work. It's a backstab. And we slowly convinced everybody. It started with Senator Grassley. They understood it and they came there. Then we went to Senator Warnock. We needed a Democrat. We needed someone on banking. His staff was enthusiastic. We then went to the House and got Democrat, Republican. Then we went to each committee and pushed it. But what's interesting is, as we gained support, it was a ping pong. First, it's going to be in the NDAA. Oh, it's not going to be there. Then it's going to be in the Senate. Oh, we can't do it. Then it's going to be in the House. Then go to this committee, that committee. It was very clear that no one wanted to oppose it, but everyone was looking to someone else to spike it.
Mm-hmm.
And we just moved that bill along with the tremendous support of staffers in the House and Senate and their bosses. I don't want to downplay that. This was a movement, and it came down at the very end to an appropriations battle, because this bill was put on a budget bill. So you had to go to a whole new committee for support. And we knew, and that was a big lift. And the whistleblowers spoke, and the appropriators backed down. And this bill is gonna have so much impact worldwide. And every single person who stood up can take credit for that. It was a collective effort.
Stephen Kohn, I have to congratulate you, the law firm, National Whistleblower Center, Whistleblower Network News, and every single whistleblower who stood up and made those phone calls. It is a glorious day and a wonderful Christmas gift for everyone out there in the world. Would you like to?
And I want to say that almost all of this was done on pure volunteer labor. There was no paid organizer. None of the whistleblowers or the supporters who came out were paid. No one at my office got paid to do this. This was a volunteer effort from beginning to end. It was the people speaking.
So this truly is a Christmas and Hanukkah miracle, isn't it?
I think it's a miracle because it's a fantastic law. And I'll also say this, if you go back in time, say even for Dodd-Frank, there was a major financial scandal. There wasn't a movement of the masses to get the bill passed. The elites in Congress understood they needed to do something. They did the right thing. We started there with people like Senator Grassley and Warnock and our supporters in the House. They saw what needed to happen. They were trying to do the right thing, but we hit a roadblock like whistleblowers often hit.
Always.
And we had to drive through that. We had to get our tanks and our people to smash through that roadblock. Guess what? They did. I think everyone's in shock. The amount of outpouring of support, I think, has taken everyone by surprise. But I want to add something here. A couple of years ago, Whistleblower Network News sponsored a poll by Marist, which is an A+. This is an objective polling company. They paid money to do this. And it showed that 80% of the American people wanted more whistleblower protections, and 1 in 4 likely voters said that a candidate's position on whistleblowing would influence their vote. So we not only had large support, we had intense support. This is the first time we were able to mobilize that support. The National Whistleblower Center, Whistleblower Network News, KKC, my law firm, we've been working for years to build public support for whistleblowing, because whistleblowers need it. Without public support, our laws will be crucified. And this is the first time we actually took the networks, and Jane, you were critical on this. You've been mobilizing whistleblowers since the first whistleblower day and bringing people in. So we had people like Jane who'd organized. We had whistleblowers with very large Twitter followings and online followings. We had a network that we don't even know existed. And this is the first time we turn those networks on in an emergency way to get a bill. And I will say this, it is the largest outpouring of public support for a whistleblower law ever. And it's the first time we've done it, and it won't be the last.
It's a holiday miracle. And I tell you, it's just amazing. And we're all so thankful for the efforts you played. And it's just a time to be incredibly happy for whistleblowers. And we do have new initiatives coming up in 2023. So stay tuned. Do you have any last words, Stephen?
Just want to say that if people can subscribe to Whistleblower Network News, please donate to the National Whistleblower Center. It's tax exempt. It also needs your help. Believe it or not, we need your help to keep going. We're mostly voluntary, but we do need support, and that'd be the best thing you can do. Give us a holiday gift. But I also want to say one thing. The American people have just given the people of Ukraine a holiday gift. They have empowered whistleblowers worldwide to join their fight against the corrupt Russian oligarchs.
Well said. Thank you, Stephen Kohn. Thank you,
Thank you.
KKC. Thank you, National Whistleblower Center. And thank you, Whistleblower Network News.